from MicrobeTV. This is office hours for Wednesday, July 1st, 2026. It's it for June, folks. Summer's just zipping by. I'm Vincent Racaniello, and welcome to your viral corner of the internets. Welcome, everybody. Good to have you. Here's our moderators for tonight. We have Frank is here. Welcome, Frank, from New York City. We have Vanity Nutrition, her last office hours in New York City from New York. Tom Steinberg is here. Probably Les will be here. Welcome, everyone. Good to see everybody. We have a packed agenda for tonight. And hopefully cough-free, because I got myself a cough box. It's a little thing you put in the microphone chain, and you push this button when you don't want to be heard. But hopefully I won't need it. It's not cheap, that thing. It's $85. It's called a cough box. They all come in different names. Yeah, we have a big agenda for you tonight. I spent the day gathering things. I have a bunch of interesting stories. I have two mini lectures. One will be on the ability of HPV vaccine to prevent deaths caused by cervical cancers. And then the other will be a modeling of the potential trajectory of the Bundibugyo Ebola virus outbreak in Africa. And then, of course, at the end, we will end up with a poem. Tell us where you're from, everybody. I will shout you out. Here in New York, that's actually New Jersey. It is currently 32°C. It was up at 36 today. Let's see what it was in New York, because it's always a little warmer in this concrete jungle. It was up to, it wasn't as hot today, 33. Interesting. I took a walk today because I spent too much time inside. Far too much time. So I went for an hour, and I want to show you some just two pictures that I took of my walk. So I went, the incubator's on 7th Avenue. I walked south half a block and turned right on 29th Street and started walking west towards the Hudson River. And there's this block with very low buildings, as you can see here. They're quite old, right? These are walk-ups, most likely. They're probably an apartment or maybe more on each floor. They're lovely buildings, but very hard to get. But then behind them is this new modern neighborhood that's gone up. There used to be rail yards on the west side of Manhattan, right next to the Hudson River, and they built these buildings on them. And oh my gosh, they're just, well, they tried to make a neighborhood. So we have office buildings, we have apartment buildings, there are grocery stores, there's a Whole Foods, right? All that stuff. They tried to get people to go, but it's not doing very well. People don't want to go so far west. Anyway, I thought this is a cool picture. And then here's another one. I took another block west, again on 29th Street, and I just found this painting on the side of the building to be lovely, right? This is a building. You can see on the right the windows there. And it's very cool, right? It's a tree growing in the city with this person hugging it. I really like that. Anyway, so I walked to the river and then went a block south and came back. And I tried to stay on the shady side of the street. It was pretty warm, but I liked it. Okay, so then, remember, last week, Dagfin offered to send some pictures, and I have two here. I hope it doesn't mind. This one is obviously looking out into the water. I think that's Denmark, but I'm not sure. I think he said it was Denmark. So Norway is where we are. It's beautiful, isn't it? So that's cool. And then this one, also vertical orientation here, but also looking out over the water. Very lovely. Thank you, Dagfinn, for sending those. So that's Dagfinn from Norway. If you want to send pictures, last time I gave you my cell phone. You can do that. You can go back and listen to the episode. Or you can email them to Vincent at microbe.tv. Let's see who's here. Okay, let me hear. Dagfinn writes, Denmark is behind those islands, a few hours by boat. So, that's the wrong one. Oh, behind the islands. Okay, got it. Very cool. Thank you, Dagfinn, for those lovely photos. Okay. Tom is here from the Oregon Coast Range, picking blueberries and listening to Swainson's thrush. And Frank is here from New York City. Welcome, Frank. Will is here in China. Xiaosheng Hao. Good morning. 25C and misty. Welcome. Mike is in Seattle where it's 20C and partly cloudy. Leo says the Karen Torgele interview is really good. I'm still thinking about it. I enjoyed it. I like doing interviews. I like doing I like doing the podcast with a lot of people, but I also like doing one-on-one. It gets me to have a nice conversation with people, so I'm glad you like that. Vanity Nutrition's last office hours in New York. Welcome. Thank you for all the work you've done over these years. Good luck out in Montana. And I hope you have a little time to do an office hours now and then. If not, it was lovely having you here. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Carol's our favorite nephrologist. She is in Bakersfield, California, where it's 33C. Welcome. Leo is in Mendocino, 23C on the Northern California coast. Remember when everyone could agree on Arthur Fiedler and the Boston Pops? I never liked them, but I know what you mean. Sandra is in Mexico City, where it's 17C and raining. Welcome. Good to have you here. John is in Minneapolis, where it's 28C. I'm going to be heading there soon. For ASV, and it turns out so ASV starts on a Monday. On Saturday and Sunday, there's a measles mini symposium at the Mayo Clinic, which is north in Rochester. I may go to that, which will involve just having to change my flight, but that's okay. Brian is in Knoxville, roasting under the heat dome. Heat index of 37, 32C. Robert is in hot New Jersey. Yeah, I was in less hot New York City today. It's okay here. I actually don't mind the hot weather. I even wear long sleeve t-shirts in the summer because the buildings are ridiculously cold. The incubator is freezing. I have to wear a jacket at the incubator. It's too cold. I will die. Betty is in Washington Heights, New York City. Welcome, Betty. Will says, I still sound stuffed up. You know, yes, I was getting better. And this morning I woke up with some nasal congestion. Hot damn. See, you didn't have to hear that. Thanks to my cough blocks. It's been 3 weeks since I came back from Colorado. And I don't know if I picked up another one here, but it's okay. I'm all right. Walrus Gumboot, Liverpool, 1 a.m., 17 and rain. Wow. went back down. I survived the heat wave. That's cool. Kang is in Chicago. Warm, 33C with sunny skies. Pete is in London, where it's 18C at 1 a.m. Still getting mid to high 20s in the daytime. After a day in Dorset for our Family Biz AGM. So Vanity will be driving next Wednesday, and after that in Montana. What's with the explosive diarrhea going around? So there is an outbreak of, what is it? It's a parasite. Let me look it up. I just was looking at it today. Cyclospora parasite. It's cyclospora. It's been causing an outbreak of diarrhea. My audio is lower than usual. Okay, I'll lift it up. Check 1, 2. Lift it up. Lift it up. Bader, batter, 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 bader, bader, vader. Yes. It is cyclospora. And, you know, you need to take medication for that. It's not going to go away so easily on its own. You could just search New York City cyclospora outbreak. It'll tell you all about it. Sandy is in Newark, Delaware. Can fry an egg on the sidewalk here. But don't do that, right? Azilbra is in KSA 30C. You know, we got you beat here in New Jersey. It was 36 today. Let's see. Dorothy Charging Hawk, 75 by the Lake 80F up on the hill. Newman writes, are you accepting self-funded PhD students? I'm so sorry, I don't have a lab anymore. So I can't do that. But I wish you luck in finding a lab. Elizabeth is in a hot and muggy West Virginia. Welcome. Call Me Ishmael for now is in Maryland where it's 30C. DJ from Winnipeg. Twiv and clinical update are my weekend ritual, although I'm a band director, not a scientist. I'm glad you said I'm a band director, and you didn't say I'm just a band director, because we don't like when you say just. Everybody is just what they are. I'm just a scientist. No, I'm a scientist. You're a band director. You're a nephrologist. You're a house painter. You're a police person. You're a mail delivery person. It's all good. It's not a just, okay? Just remember. Dobry večer, privyet. Veronika from Moscow, where it's real hot these days, around 30°C. Thankfully, not for long. An hour's walk is good, especially if every day. You think I should? I could do it every day. I usually have an hour. An hour after lunch, yeah? Is that good? Should I do that? I really liked it. It was invigorating. It was hot, but I don't mind the hot. I barely sweat. Sandy, the last time Philly experienced 3 consecutive days over 100 was 1993. I remember too well. I was taking my nursing boards and the Civic Center AC was broken. Oh my God, that's terrible. I'm so sorry. Yes, Hudson Yards. Did you see the Edge building? Oh yeah, I saw the Edge building. It's crazy. They charge people to go out on that glass floor. A lot of money too. Dagfin writes, I can see you have an eye for image composition, but I'm glad you went into virology instead of being a photographer. I did, yeah. All right, I'll turn the volume up some more. I do like to compose, but I didn't have any confidence that I would be any good. So yeah, science is, and I think you're saying that because I'm teaching people now, right? Not because I'm a crappy photographer. You can't tell from just 2 pictures, right? But I always take time to compose, right? You have to make sure it's just pleasing to you. It's not just a record of what you're seeing, but I had the tree up there. I could have moved up and cut the tree out, but I thought the tree added something to it. And then this one, I should have cropped the Manhattan mini storage out here, right? But I didn't crop any of these. These are right out of my phone, and I might have done that. And, it's a low angle, so everything is weird, but you get the picture that there's just a big contrast in Manhattan. It's very cool. Trompe-l'oeil. Which one is the trompe-l'oeil of the pictures? Fooling. Oh, the painting. Yes, of course. What am I thinking? Isn't it beautiful? Trompe-l'oeil. Fooling the eye. Actually, I think the windows on the right are painted even. The ones above Manhattan mini storage. They don't look right. They look like the ones here. In fact, I don't know if this building has any windows on this side. That's why they could do this, right? And so they added the windows in just to give it coolness with the tree there, right? It's very cool. I don't know who did it, but that's not trivial to do, right? It's many stories up. You got to hang there. Maureen is in a hot and humid northeastern Ohio. Welcome. Michelle is in Philadelphia, 33C. I walked to Independence Hall with my granddaughters for a Wawa 250th festival. Way too hot. We have beautiful murals, about 4,000 in the city. Yes. When I was in Philadelphia last December, November, I don't remember, for a couple of days for our textbook retreat, someone told me that there are lots of cool murals. And in fact, there was one right across from the brownstone we were staying in, the Airbnb. It was very cool. Cheryl's in Santa Rosa, California, sunny 74F. That's nice weather. Pete has a loquat tree in the garden, first planted by the Cypriot family before me around 50 years back. Many from Cyprus settled in my neighborhood back then. Just had a tree full of fruit off it. More follows. Lagotica's in Chicago, where it's 33 friggin' degrees. See? Eliza's in Ontario, where it's very hot. It's Canada Day today, our national holiday. Went for an hour-long swim in the lake to celebrate. Happy Canada Day to all Canadians. Christina is in Hershey, PA, 91F. AC David DC is in Medellin. I knew someone from Medellin, and she taught me how to pronounce it, Medellin, with a lovely 22C. So I know Melbourne and Edinburgh and Medellin. I love it. I love to pronounce things correctly. Uba Lubi, Little Rock. 33C, air is like breathing water. I am a fish. A fish in water. Mr. Doreen is in Elgin, Illinois. Heat index approached 40C today. Vanity won't be able to stay away. That's what I like to hear. Excellent, excellent. Catch My Whiff is in Metro West Boston, 91 right now. Carol writes, I truly enjoyed the interview with Karen Torghili. I had no idea Albert Sabin was so abrasive, but I respect his work. Oh, yeah. I mean, I had abrasive experiences with him, but in the book, I didn't realize he was so more abrasive. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, he was a good scientist. Pete continues about the tree. He just had a tree full of fruit, probably 20 to 30 kilos, best for many years. The pigeons finished them off last weekend. I was away for 10 days, and the heat wave was unkind, so missed many. Very juicy. Nice. EHS Talent is in PA, where it's humid. GSD Bio is in San Marcos, California, where it's 19C. Jonathan. A.E. Caulfield is in the UK, where it's 15C. Wasn't Holden Caulfield the character in the Philip Roth novel? The audio lifted nicely. You know, it's funny. I'm looking at the audio meter that's built into Ecamm, and it's peaking. It's going into the red, and I wouldn't normally do that, so that's why it was too low. Okay, glad it's good. Corn Mike, a steamy 84F before the storm from the Heartland. Like your new gear. You like my new gear. Yeah, the wrap, the cough block. I don't really need new gear much anymore. I'm very well kitted out. I have a nice kit. But since I can't seem to stop coughing, I got that because I know it's very annoying. I do have one at the incubator already, but I had to get one here because I don't want to carry it back and forth. I'll just forget it. Today I went to the Penn Station, and I was wearing my computer glasses. They're green. And I had to turn around and walk back 2 blocks, go back upstairs. And then I went back, and I had plenty of time. My train wasn't even called yet. So obviously I get there too early. John writes, Rochester is about an hour south. Okay. I didn't know that. Just FYI, and it is, if it's a weekend, you'd like a chauffeur, I've got reliable transportation. I don't want to bother you, young man. If you'd like to drive me, I'm going to be, it's not even, I mean, it's at the airport. So I was thinking of taking one of those shuttles, groom vans. But if you want to drive and we can chat, and I will take you out to dinner another time as repayment. It's up to you. New small talk option just dropped. So what's with all this diarrhea? I like that. So what's with all this diarrhea? Hello, Les. Welcome, moderator Les. Thank you for coming. Kank says, are you experiencing a rebound or allergic to summer? I am not allergic to anything. I never had an allergy. I guess this is some kind of a rebound. It's very interesting. When I got back from Colorado, I had this congestion. I had sore throat. It went away. And then I had some, I would say, tracheal involvement, right? I could feel the mucus in my trachea when I coughed, boom. And that's mostly gone. But then this morning I wake up with more stuffy. So it's either a rebound or a different virus. You can have more than one virus. And the other thing is, this really bothers me because this crap never used to happen to me. I was healthy as a elephant. What's healthy? A blue whale. The littlest things bother me because, age is the degrader of the immune system. And I'm relatively healthy. I exercise. I eat pretty well. The only thing I don't do is sleep well. Oh my gosh, I started tracking my sleep. I started wearing a watch, an Apple Watch. Oh my gosh, I think it's the worst thing you can do. It says in the actual app, it says, do not worry about how much sleep you're going to get. That will make your sleep worse. Well, I get less than 6 hours of sleep a night. And I wake up like 6 to 8 times for a total of 40 minutes. Most of them I don't even remember. I mean, there's sometimes I do know because I get up and go somewhere, right? I go for a little walk. But I don't know how to improve that. And it doesn't probably help my constitution, right? Your body needs to heal. But, the health app is very cool. It takes the data from the watch and it graphs it so you can see your core sleep. You can see your REM sleep. You can see when you wake up. But for me, all it does is make me anxious, right? I get up and I'm like, oh, crap, I didn't sleep well. So that's, sorry, it's too much information. I'm sorry, Kang. That's what's going on. Good evening, Patricia. Happy July 2026. Enjoy your day. Will is a qualified retired oldie. Oldie. Well, I'm not retired, but I guess over 70 is old. And then 80 is older. I don't know. I'd like to live to 100. I'm trying. Don't know if I will. Sandra, yes, it's wonderful to walk. So I will try and walk every day. Except, the thing is in New York, the air sucks. Only because there's a lot of cars, right? The air quality is actually quite good, especially compared to what it was years ago. There's less industrial pollution and that sort of thing. But there's a lot of exhaust. Joel, hello. Greetings from a warm and sunny UK. Nice to see you. I should have made tea, but I got home just 10 minutes before the show. I didn't have time. I find that talking irritates my throat, right? I'm okay all day at the incubator. As soon as I start to do a podcast, boom, tickles my throat. John does 30 minutes on the exercise bike almost every day. A great time for some MicrobeTV, or like today, Debunk the Funk to the debunk on outgoing Tulsi Gabbard's claims about Dr. Fauci. Yes, they're all lies. There's nothing to them. And Angie Rasmussen is also doing a review of those claims as well. So I do treadmill 3 times a week, an hour, and then 3 other times a week I do some light weights and so forth. But I don't walk. A treadmill is walking, of course. So, but you have to get outside, right? That's the key. Get some fresh air. Carol's dad walked every day, rain or shine, until his death at age 95. Well, you got the longevity genes there, okay? But if that's the key, I'll walk every day. Dorothy, okay, my mistake, my bad. I don't have good geography. Rochester is south of Minneapolis. I was just there for the State Democratic State Convention. Go if you can. You will like it. So there's a mini measles meeting, as I said, Saturday and Sunday. And I'll probably have to go out. I'll probably have to fly out Friday, which means no TWIV. I'll have to publish a canned TWIV, but that's no problem. I do have one in the can. Unless I can get a really early flight on Saturday. We'll see. We'll see what I can do. Hello from Vegas, Mark. We will miss Vanity. Hope you will have time to visit us on your new life journey. I think art and science are more tightly connected than most people realize. Of course they are. Yes. So on the simplest level, science is an art, right? But also they are ways of exploring the world, exploring your thoughts, your feelings about the world. And so, yes, they're both very similar. I think what I do is some kind of an art, right? Podcasting, it's teaching, but it's done so in a way that has some creativity, and I think it's an art as a consequence. Pete writes, last time there was a high temp record in 2 different months in the UK was 1911, when my grandmother was in the 3rd trimester with my dad. Wow. Catch my whiff. Do you think a modern-day reboot of Schoolhouse Rock could help boost the basic knowledge Americans have about many things? It was so beneficial for so many kids from my generation. Well, I am not so familiar with, what it did. But if you say this, yes, for sure. So Leo makes me cough. Pace yourself on the daily walks. Don't want to see this on the back page of the local paper. It will be in the back, if it ever even makes the paper. Emeritus Columbia bug prof found victim of heat stroke. So I'm not emeritus yet. I don't know if I ever will be, okay? I'm still a professor. I'm I have an appointment. I take a salary. I teach. And I would like to keep the appointment as long as I'm able to teach, right? If I can put sentences together and so forth. But I won't have a heat stroke. I'm really good with heat. But thank you for the concern. I appreciate it. Les loves the science book interview episodes. Yeah, so we had on Tweevo Roxanne Kamsey, right? We've had David Quammen on. We've had others over the years. Had Carl Zimmer. Like it. Wasn't this novel Catcher in the Rye? Yes. Holden Caulfield, Catcher in the Rye. That's right. I haven't read it in a long time. Yep. Jan, in the desert in Tucson where it's 100 F, which is just normal for us. J.D. Salinger. Is that right? Holden Caulfield. Let's look it up, folks. It's Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger. I got the guy. I said the wrong guy. I'm sorry. Make a lot of mistakes, especially when I move out of my. What's the saying? Move out of my rails, something like that. I forgot. J.D. Salinger. Mark, any day below 110 is great until the end of August. Great pictures of the city. Would you recommend an antibiotic for cyclospora? I don't know what you would actually take. That would be Daniel, but yeah. Trimethoprim, sulfamethoxazole, right? Bactrim, Septra, Cotrim, those are the brand names for that. Yeah, Bactrim. Because it doesn't go away on its own typically. Martha, can't join live. Intermission of a piano concert in Charleston. Well, enjoy. That sounds great. John, I'm volunteering to chat for sure and would be delighted. Okay. I think you have my cell phone number, right? From last time. If not, email is vincent@microbe.tv and I can send it to you. Healthy as a horse. I'm not sure if I'm healthy as a horse, but maybe a donkey. They're very cute. I like donkeys. MN is in D.C. where it's very hot. The 4th will be very hot. The bladder is the master regulator of the sleep cycle. Yes. So the thing is, you're supposed to drink a lot, right? And so, yeah, that's a problem. But my urologist said not to drink 3 hours before bed. But I can't do that. I need to drink more than that. But it's interesting, depending on the depth of my sleep, sometimes I don't have to get up, right? But if you have a light sleep, then a little disturbance, a full bladder will wake you up, unfortunately. The master regulated. I love that. Very good. Alessandra Gradi is in Sassari, Italy, 23C. I just joined here. It's 2:20 a.m. I enjoyed the Saban's biography episode. By the way, I was not able to read the letters of him for your correspondence. The link didn't work? All right, I'll fix it. I will promise. Sinus infection, packed sinuses, methinks. It could be a secondary sinus infection, yes, very much so. Getting a decent POTUS would help me sleep no end. Yeah, maybe me too. But I have also other things on my mind, so I'm not sure. I used to sleep so well when I was young. It was just great. I could sleep till 11, 12 a.m., when I had nothing to do. Young, really young I'm talking about. Now, I wouldn't want to waste that time now, but I'd like to get more than 6 hours. What I learned today asks, what do you think about picornavirus structures, like polio or rhino? Well, look. I have a polio structure right here at home. This is bound to one molecule of receptor. What do I think of them? Well, they're beautiful. What's the most fascinating unanswered question? So, I think the most fascinating is apparently the RNA comes out by the 3' end first, right? It comes out through a portal that forms when the virus binds a receptor. So when this receptor engages the virus, it's on the cell membrane. So a portal opens up in the particle. How does it know where the 3' end of the RNA is, or it doesn't matter? Is it just random, and that's why the particle to PFU ratio is so low? That's an interesting question, in my opinion. Interesting question. Yes, in Mexico City, the air quality isn't good. It used to be worse, if I remember. I've been to Mexico City maybe 3 times, and it's gotten better over the years, sure. Polka Dot Pup, 93F in Texoma, North Texas. My doc asked how long I'd experienced insomnia. I replied, January 20th, 1970. He seemed startled. I told him that was when my first daughter was born. Yep. Kids can give you insomnia, yep. Rip the Comp is walking across the trailer park in Taos. Hello, all. Wrenching on bicycle. Mark writes, I heard Moderna has launched a phase 2 clinical trial on EBV for MS treatment. Any useful insights for the curious? It is an mRNA vaccine, so the MAGA stupid will miss out. Let's look it up. I think I heard that. Yeah, so it's called mRNA 1189. It has 4 parts of the EBV envelope. It's in phase 1 and 2 clinical trials. So actually, Moderna has 2 mRNA vaccines in trial. Yep. Interesting. We'll keep an eye on that. We'll talk about them. Well, art could be the first step of the scientific method. Observation. Yes, that too. I like it. Hit the thumbs up, folks, so we attract more people. Ooh, we have less than 100 people today, which is dwindling. You know, as the summer comes, the audience dwindles. I understand that. Moving out of your lane. That's right. Thank you very much. Making comments should help the algorithm too. That's correct. When I can't sleep, I put on a 2-hour TWIV. The science is over my head, ends up putting me to sleep, but I learn a little. I don't have any trouble getting to sleep. It's staying to sleep is the problem. Staying to sleep. Holden is the protagonist of Catcher in the Rye. That's right. John enjoyed Beyond Inheritance from that author on Tweevo. It's accessible content for non-experts like me. It's a very good book. Yeah. Dorothy writes, my health videos say that everybody is different. If you awake rested, you're probably okay. Also, walk in daylight and in nature is best. And walk at a zone 2 pace. Check it out online. I don't think I walk at a zone 2 pace. I kind of stroll in New York City because I actually want to look at things. The buildings are just so fascinating, right? You always find something new. You can walk the same blocks, and you're going to see something new each time. Catch My Whiff has been using a sleeping mask for 6 months. They are not to be frowned upon. What is that? What is a sleeping mask? Is it like a CPAP? It puts air in your nose, or is it something else? Try biphasic sleep 2 sessions of 4 hours. Maybe read a book in between. Jeff, good evening from Elgin, Illinois, down to 31C. Did Nordic track in my attic at 102. Not so bad. Oh, that's pretty hot. It's hard to breathe at that point, right? Les writes to John, I think you would enjoy Jonas Salk, A Life by Charlotte de Cruz Jacobs. Yeah, that's what Karen Torgali recommended. I want to read that too. Yep. Catch my whiff. How long do you think it will take for the sickle cell treatment to be widely available? Well, it's widely available, but it's expensive. Oh my gosh. Many, many tens of thousands of dollars. Art is therapy. Sure is. I find podcasting, I find teaching therapeutic. I find this live stream is highly therapeutic because I get to say pretty much whatever I want, and someone's listening, right? I notice whatever I say, someone picks up on it. So I like that's therapeutic for me. And just being an educator is therapeutic. Just going to the incubator every day is highly therapeutic for me. Hello, Visto from Sydney, where it's 19C. Stephen writes, we hear about viruses evolving rapidly, but multi-drug resistant Klebsiella and Acinetobacter also seem to acquire resistance quickly. From an evolutionary perspective, can we keep up? Yeah, so every organism, well, of course, DNA versus RNA has different mutation rates, right? But there are other constraints to mutation as well. But, yeah, these bacteria become antibiotic resistant. And you know, it's hard to keep up. It's expensive to make new drugs. Companies don't want to do it if you get resistance immediately. So we need some alternatives, right? There are some clever alternatives out there. We have covered some of them on TWIM recently, an interesting one. A brand new target that doesn't seem to generate any resistance. We'll see. Phages is another example, but you're going to get resistance to phages too. You know, you have to try different things. You have to be willing to do research all the time. And this country is not now in this proper climate for doing that. An eye mask to block the light. I see. That's interesting. I wonder if light is the problem. Certainly at 5 a.m. it's light now and hard for me to get back to sleep. I love architecture. I do. I love New York is a gold mine for architectural viewing, right? Because you have old and new buildings and everything in between. You have buildings that have been messed up, that are horrible. You have modern buildings that are horrible, like those big glass towers. I'm not a big fan of those. Then you have the old buildings that are well kept. I saw a few of them today that are just beautiful. And by the way, the High Line goes through the west side from north to south. And I walked under it several times today. It's just beautiful how it snakes between buildings. They have buildings around. You know, the High Line is a former railroad, an elevated railroad that's converted into a walk, a nature walk. I have to go on that one of these days. It's beautiful. Really nice, the High Line. What do I think about phage therapy? Yes, we've covered phage therapy on multiple podcasts. I think it's very promising. It's not there yet, right? It's worked in a couple of cases, but it's not there to figure out exactly how it's going to work and what you do when resistance arises, right? Lagotic spent several years working with Jonas Salk's nephew. Nice guy, not a scientist. Being around people smarter than I am is therapeutic to me. This is a wonderful statement, okay? This is fantastic. I love this. I agree totally. I have to put that on my list of therapeutic things. I also like being around experts. Maybe it's the same as smarter than. People who are really good at what they do, right? I mean, I mostly know science experts, but I appreciate experts in every field, athletes, artists, musicians, engineers, healthcare people, right? All experts and really good at what they do. And just watching them do their thing is so pleasing and therapeutic, right? Because they're so good at it. I really like that. Thank you for doing that. For saying that, not doing it. Mike writes, which year do you think the first archaeal RNA virus will be identified and characterized? Wait a minute, isn't there one? Yes, there are. There already are. RNA viruses of archaea. Yeah, pretty sure. I think Ken Stedman over in Portland works on those. Jeff writes, my understanding is that science derived from philosophy. Yes, that was driven by logic, thought experiments. In fact, Einstein did a lot of thought experiments. That's actually absolutely right. He would see things and then think of an experiment, right? He did a lot of thought experiments. It was brilliant. Just brilliant. King writes, are there viruses that are likely to trigger a cytokine storm, or do comorbidities predispose them? Okay, so SARS-CoV-2 can cause cytokine storms, but not in everybody. You know, influenza viruses can cause cytokine storms. Bacteria can cause cytokine storms, but never in everyone. So it is regulated by the host genetics very much. How you would initially respond to infection, whether you make not enough interferon and then you have to catch up and then you have an overreaction, which ends up being the cytokine storm, right? So it's just host genetics is a big part of it. I don't think it's just a virus. Mike asks, have you given a mini lecture on monoclonal antibodies, how they work, how they developed or discovered, what are the Oh, this is a great idea. I like this very much. Let me write it down. Yep, monoclonal, because there's a lot of new technologies too. MABs, mini lecture. Yep, that's a good idea, Mike. Thank you very much. So that's why I'm here. I'm not sure what you're answering there, but thank you for being here. Jeff writes, it seems that today's science deniers provide information as to what high school science needs to focus on. Hopefully, curriculum developers are paying attention. Yes, it's true, but it's also hard to change, right? It takes a long time to change curriculum. It really needs a complete renovation, but it's not going to happen. Catch my whiff. Light is what affects the wake-sleep cycle. Blocking light to my eyes helps me stay asleep deeper for a longer period. I'm going to try it. I don't particularly like the thing on my face because I'm a side sleeper, so it's going to get moved around probably, but I'll try it. It's not for everyone, I'm sure. So Mike says they found an RNA, but it wasn't proven that it does. Hold on. Let's look it up again. Yes, exciting. I wrote a blog post about it in October 2012. An RNA virus that infects archaea with a question mark. Look. Oh my gosh. You know, I used to write this virology blog. Oh man, I worked so hard on making a nice looking blog page, right? I made this logo up here. Every different life form, blah, blah, blah. Archaea, blah, blah, blah. They were examined for the presence of RNA viruses. Yeah, so they found RNA sequences, yeah. Whether or not the hosts of these are archaea or bacteria cannot be determined by metagenomic analysis. What is needed to resolve the question is old-fashioned virology, isolating RNA virus particles that can infect an archaeal host and produce new infectious viruses. Boy, you know, I used to love to write. This is a good post. It's very clear. I don't do it anymore because I got wrapped up in podcasting. And writing demands serious time, at least for me. I used to do these once a week. So there you go, Mike. I apparently, it's the question. We don't have an RNA virus yet. But when you want to know when we're going to find them, and I can't know. I can't predict, especially the future. I don't know. We have all the technology to do it. It's just a matter of finding people who are interested in getting the funding. So Sandra said she's here because I'm smarter than her. Well, maybe in one field, right? But you're smarter than me in something else. But I can't be where you are. So that's the thing. You have to find people whose presence you can be with, right? That's it. Yeah, I get it. If you have rooms with darkening shades, blinds, or curtains, they should be easily taken. I don't have any of that stuff. They're just white shades that let all the light through. Tom liked that virology blog. So it still exists, and it's written now by somebody else. But, yeah, you should check it out. It's good. And this is a great quote. Neil deGrasse Tyson said, if you are the smartest person in the room, change rooms. I always change rooms on Wednesday nights. I'm never the smartest person in the room. Well, what room? I go to a meeting. There are lots of people who are smarter than I am. And I can't change the room at the incubator. Anyway, there's only one other person there usually. But I love this quote. I think the sense of it is what matters, right? Kathy writes, love Twiv, been listening since 2020. I would like to suggest some resources for your crew to address some of the cross-subject blind spots. Zubiquity is a great book between vets and doctors. I know you have written and pointed out our blind spots, and several others have as well. Everybody has blind spots, right? I don't know that we can fix all of them. I don't know that we can have enough hosts and that's not really the point, right? I understand, we have free-form conversations, and sometimes we wander into areas where we have blind spots. Now, in terms of veterinary medicine, Angela is a veterinarian, right? She's a DVM, so she should be able to answer that. But I will take a look at Zubiquity. That's great. Vanity writes, any light while you're sleeping increases your cortisol and results in poor sleep quality. Yeah, but what about waking up at 2, 3 a.m., 1, 2, 3 a.m.? And not to go to the bathroom, just waking up and what's going on? That's cortisol probably, but why do I have high cortisol? Because I'm stressed? Oh, life is tough. Yeah, that's a great quote. Jeff writes, Andrew Huberman discusses the effects of light on sleep. I believe that staying away from white in the evening is best. Bulbs should be toward the red, yellow, and computer screens avoided at bedtime. So, I have screen time up until I get between the sheets, okay? That's my modus operandi. I'm on a screen all frickin' day long. And I don't have one in bed with me. I used to have looking at an iPad for a while, but I stopped doing that. But it's right up to it. They say an hour before sleep. I can't do that. Just can't do it. But anyway, yeah, I think warm lights are good. I think my house mostly has warm lights in it. Elizabeth writes, light blocking. Okay, so this is the topic tonight, sleep. Light blocking curtains and turning off electronics that have lights works well if the sleep mask doesn't work. I get my bedroom cave dark because of migraines. Oh, I'm sorry. Hey, Sean, done a mini lecture on mitovirus. I have one here written down, mitovirus. I'm going to do it eventually. I'm sorry I didn't do it tonight. I will. Because you've been asking for it. I know you have. Thank you very much. Stevie wants to know about the Marburg outbreak coinciding with the Bundibugyo. I didn't know there was a Marburg. Let's look it up. One day ago, here's Stat News. Marburg is reported in Uganda, threatening to complicate the Ebola response. Okay. Uganda formally reported to WHO on Tuesday it had detected a Marburg disease outbreak in the western part of the country. They have not publicly disclosed it, but the U.S. Embassy issued a health alert. Level 4 advisory. Americans should not travel to Uganda. Single case so far. Or maybe two. Yeah, so it's ongoing. Yeah, it makes it hard to take care of the Bundibugyo outbreak, right? Because now you have to worry about a second virus. Here's the article, by the way. It's on Stat News. You can find it. Just search for it. It's by Helen Branswell. Thank you for pointing that out. That's cool. Mike writes, do labs ever vague post for a few days to build suspense and hype right before dropping an extremely significant paper? So what they do is put a embargo on. Excuse me. So they send the paper out before publication date. The journals typically do this. They send it out to all the journalists so they can read it, and they can't say anything about it until a day, a certain date. That's the embargo lifted, and then all of a sudden they all publish, and so that amplifies it. So they don't do vague posts. That's what they do instead. Pete can fall asleep with the reading lamp near my nose and sleep almost all the night. Well, that's great. I'm happy for you. Yeah, I can fall asleep almost anywhere, but I can fall asleep just sitting up, and I won't tip over. I mean, it's not the greatest sleep because I'm kind of aware of it, but, for 10 minutes, it's not bad. Mark, you can be sure their RNA viruses are a key. Every successful system has a parasite. Thank you, Dixon. And Kathy says, another resource for TWIP or Daniel's clinical update is the U.S. Farm Report to get more information about what is happening with Texas with screwworm. That's right. Vista writes, I learned that some wasps use viruses symbiotically. Does any bacteria have symbiotic viruses? You mean a virus that does something for them? Right? The wasp injects the virus into the caterpillar along with the wasp eggs, and so the virus will immunosuppress the caterpillar so the egg can develop without being rejected. Yes, I'm not aware of, but there's certainly many examples of how viruses of bacteria help them. I mean, they transfer genes, which is useful. They probably help with defense systems as well. Yeah, we have certainly covered a lot of this on TWIV. We are so busy, it's hard to do it all. I mean, I could eke out a few extra hours, but I don't want to write at this time. If I found time writing, I really do want to write a book, right, about my life among viruses, but I can't do it now. Yeah, Rita says, virus-infected tulips caused the sensation in the 1600s. Tulip break disease makes the striped tulips, which are prized. They're highly prized, and it's caused by a virus. Yep. You're welcome, Kathy. I always appreciate input. Rip to Comp. Office hours makes me feel safe, boosts confidence in disease knowledge, keeps the intrigue coming, my mental immunity sharp from those dips in D.C. Bring on the lectures. Thank you very much. Oh, I love being here because all of you have good things to say. You have good questions. I appreciate it. You can get very good, dark, comfortable sleep masks with Bluetooth speakers in quite cheaply. I no longer bother with curtains, and the speakers can drown out external noise. I found once I was in Heidelberg, I played brown noise on my laptop, and I think it helped me sleep better. Does anyone have experience with brown noise? And is it worth me trying again? By the way, I do have a sleep mask, a cheap one. I want to try it tonight, the one I got on the airplane. And I'll look into these expensive ones. Sure, thank you. Let's see. Try the 4-7-8 breathing exercise. Breathe in 4, hold for 7. Okay, I've heard about that. So when I wake up, so you can do the breathing exercise, but also you can focus on something innocuous, right? It's not going to disturb you. I try and do that too. I try and picture a gray wall. Or I try and chant something, right? The screen exposure is a problem. I'm full of problems, Sandra. I have all kinds of problems. But it's okay. Krzupski is a microbiology resident from Kosovo, preparing virology for the boards. Is there any chance to get hands-on principles of virology books? Vincent at MicrobeTV. Kathy writes, says, for science curriculum, I just retired from teaching high school science, and I will answer the other person's question. Is school districts buy the curriculum that is cheapest? They buy the curriculum that is cheapest. That's with reference to, I think, Jeff's question about it, yeah. Hold for 7 and breathe out for 8. Okay, I've seen that. I will look it up. This will activate the parasympathetic system. Initzark says, I'm curious what your thoughts are on using viral vectors as gene therapy as opposed to direct in vivo delivery of gene editing payloads. I think they both have their place. But the gene editing payloads have to be delivered by viruses as well, by virus vectors. But, of course, the vector is going to deliver a wild-type gene, say, in the case of a mutant gene being present in the patient, and the gene editing approach will correct it. So I think they're both fine. It depends which one works, right? Because it's not both guaranteed to work. Yeah. Something else I find nice about the eye mask is that it holds my eyes shut. I don't have to spend any energy to keep them closed. Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. Joel writes, high cortisol can wake you up and be triggered by hunger. If you tried eating some low-sugar food when you wake up. I can't really do anything. I'm really out of it when I wake up, right? It's not like I'm wide awake. But I'm not really hungry, no. I'm rarely hungry, actually. Kang writes, Gemini said that cytokines released during an infection inverts REM with deep sleep. Interesting. I'm not sorry about that. It's fine. Sorry you're sick. Thank you very much for still coming on. I'm not really sick. I just congested. I feel fine. It's no problem. I walked for an hour in Manhattan today. This is very annoying. Kathy writes, Texas and curriculum are drivers of curriculums. Sorry, Texas and California are major drivers of curriculums because of the size of their districts. If the teacher's lucky, they don't have to conform 100% to the curriculum, but new teachers will learn on it a lot. That's very interesting. Thank you very much. Thank you, John, for your contribution to science communication. We really appreciate it at MicrobeTV. Okay, now I want to do some news. Oh, look at this. Let's see, which computer should I show it on? I think this one works fine. Everyone's seen this, I'm sure, right? Let me see. Well, no, it's the New York Times, so I can't show it. Do I have the article? Maybe. Let's see. Give me a second, folks. Sorry. Had everything else queued up except this one. But this is very cool. The synthetic cell. Have you seen that? It just came out today, and I had to just mention it. I haven't completely read it. Anyway, I can't find it, but here it is. Mother New York Times. I do it on my other computer where I have a subscription. one of my former students gave me a subscription. Actually, I don't have to do the New York Times. I'm going to go to the original article. You can find this in the New York Times. This is a website, biotic.org, okay? And this is the discovery, a chemically defined synthetic cell capable of growth and replication. Oh my God, they put together a synthetic cell. It's called Spud cell, the first synthetic cell with a complete cell cycle. So this is Professor Kate Adamala and her team at the University of Minnesota. Go! Is it Gophers? No, I don't know what they are. Go Minnesota! They have built Spud cell, a cell-like system constructed entirely from known chemical components that can perform a complete cell cycle. It has 36 purified enzymes, a 90,000 base pair genome on 9 different molecules, a lipid membrane. It can grow, replicate its genome, divide, and undergo selection and competition across multiple generations. So there's the manuscript is there. You can read it. But this is kind of a lay description of what's going on. And this is so exciting, man. Oh, my gosh. They built a cell from components. It's just incredible. The DNA replicates, the cells divide. It's incredible. The things you're going to be able to do with this. We're going to cover this on an upcoming TWIVO. But I wanted to point it out to you because it's bloody amazing, folks. Okay. So biotic.org is the website where you can, there's a Carl Wimmer article, but you don't need that. You can just go to biotic.org. So the professor, Kate Adamala, biotic.org is a nonprofit that she started to spread this technology. She doesn't want to profit from it. I think this is beautiful. This is just great. There's someone who's smarter than I am. So that's cool. All right, now a couple of quick things. Here's an article in SIDRAP. Call it what it is. The U.S. has lost its hold on a measles elimination. So what this is, you lose measles elimination status if the virus has been circulating in your country for a year, okay, and you have outbreaks. So the definition of measles elimination has little room for interpretation, and U.S. scientists help write it. Measles is considered endemic in a given region once local transmission runs continuously for at least a year. So, you can't have imported cases. And so we have lost our measles elimination status, but the U.S. doesn't want to admit it. Now, they're trying to delay the determination, which happens, by the way, by the Pan American World Health Association. They were supposed to look at it in April because it had already been a year, and the U.S. delayed it till November because it doesn't look good. They want to push it after the midterms, right? Because they're trying to find a way to say that there were imported cases so it wouldn't technically be loss of endemicity or endemic loss of elimination. But that's BS. And this op-ed basically calls that. It's really good. And they basically say, you can't delay this. It's clear. And the sequence, by the way, of these isolates, they have like 1,800 sequences. And the sequence clearly shows that these, like the Utah outbreaks came from Texas and so forth. So the article, this is an op-ed. They say we are very likely going to lose this status, and pretending otherwise does harm. It tells the public the situation is borderline. It offers the false sense of hope that this year's shots can still save the status. And it hands the people responsible for the decline an easy story in which outcome looks like a bureaucratic surprise rather than the foreseeable result of dismantling the very systems that secured elimination to begin with. Elimination was never permanent. It was never the product of luck. It took 40 years of school vaccination mandates, free shots for children, and leaders willing to say plainly that the vaccines are safe and that people should get them. The country managed it once, which means that the status is reclaimable. But right now, we're trying to reclaim it by winning a procedural argument, and that's not the way we're going to do it. We have to reclaim it by actually eliminating measles, which can be done, and which the health leaders of this country are not willing to push right now, because RFK Jr. does not believe in vaccination. And so as a consequence, thousands of kids are getting measles, and eventually many of them will get SSPE, the degenerative disease that occurs years after recovering from measles. This is horrible. And there's actually another very nice article that is linked in the CIDRAP. This is at ProPublica, what ProPublica found in the genetic code of America's measles outbreak. And basically it explains what the sequences mean in terms of showing that the outbreaks in the U.S. are all generated from within. The viruses are all coming from here, not from overseas. Okay, here's another interesting one. Let's see. This is in CNBC, but it's in many places. Warren Buffett delays annual donation to Gates Foundation pending review of Jeffrey Epstein ties. So Buffett gives money to the Gates Foundation, and he is pausing his gift. First time he's done it in 20 years, because he wants to see what happens. You know, Gates had some ties with Epstein, and Buffett wants to see what's coming out of it. And this summer we're going to learn, because it's currently being investigated, to learn more about Gates's ties to the organization. Since 2006, Buffett has donated more than $43 billion, part of a lifetime pledge he made when he forged closer ties with the Gates Foundation. So I think if it turns out that Gates had close ties to Epstein, probably Buffett will not donate. He won't want to have anything to do with the Gates Foundation anymore. And so, I mean, this is appropriate. It is totally appropriate. I mean, unfortunately, many people in the world will suffer because the Gates will have less money to help with international causes. But Gates should not have associated with him, nor should any of the other people have associated with him. In fact, it says here, let me see, I'll open it up again, that Gates became friends with Epstein in 2011, 3 years after Epstein pleaded guilty to soliciting an underage girl for prostitution. He has said that it was a grave error in judgment. So, we'll see what happens. Another article here. This one is in Science magazine. The NIH likely to award fewer grants as it races to spend its 2026 budget. So there have been staff shortages that make it more complicated. There's a 30th September deadline to spend the $47.2 billion that Congress has appropriated to NIH this year. And the fiscal year ends on 30th September. But what NIH is doing this year, which is different. So normally when you get an NIH grant, let's say you get a 5-year grant, they give you a bolus of money every year. So they give you the first year, and then at the end of the first year, you give a progress report, and then they give you the second year, and you do that every year for 5 years. What they want to do now is give you all 5 years' money up front, okay? And basically, it's less work for them. But in this case, since you're giving away the money all up front, you're going to have less money for grants as time goes, right? So they're going to fund fewer grants. And there's actually a graph here that shows the decline in grants given. So these are grants awarded number of awards here on the y-axis with time. And you can see these are in different years. So in 2026, we're way behind, right, in other years. But you can see in 2025, we gave out fewer grants, in the terms of the thousands. And so what does this mean? Well, fewer people are going to get money from their labs, and labs are going to close because you need a grant to keep your lab going. You have a lot of people in your lab that depend on your support, that depend on you paying them from an NIH grant. And so many labs will close because they can't do this. Okay, so I do have 2 mini lectures, but let me go back to our comments for a bit. Mike, when I saw this last week in Neuroscience episode, I thought it was this one. Confined migration induces non-lethal DNA damage. Have you seen that paper? I have not. But, we did the paper where certain layers of cortical neurons that develop very quickly during development, they have their own error-correcting mechanism because DNA damage occurs when cells divide quickly. Okay, Vanity wants to know, is anyone a wildlife expert? A robin made a nest next to my front door. There are eggs. I'd like to move the nest 1 bush over for more camouflage when potential buyers come to check out my house. Why is interferon not an effective treatment for most severe viral infections? So, not everyone responds to interferon. Not every virus responds to interferon. Interferon has massive side effects. So, for example, it used to be a therapy for hepatitis C, and you had to take it for many weeks, and people stopped taking it because the side effects are horrible, and many people did not respond, and has a low efficacy at clearing because there are different genotypes and so forth. So, for all those reasons, it's not a great treatment. Even if you have nothing else, well, in Africa, the Ebola virus outbreak, right? It would be difficult to treat it with interferon. It is to be given intravenously. Or maybe it could be IM, but that would be tough because you'd have to generate it. It would be expensive and so forth. So I think those are the reasons. And Rita says, don't move the nests. Rita is a wildlife biologist specializing in birds. Don't move the nest. Cheryl says, great idea to write a book. I'll be one of the list to pre-order. Thank you very much. Hans in Ecuador, hello. Greetings, 30 degrees Celsius. There was a previous discussion about you teaching in other places and or in a synchronous online course. What about the latter with regional TAs for in-person or hybrid discussion study sections? Yeah, we did talk about that, but I haven't done anything. I mean, the regional TAs is a great idea, but that would take some organization, boy. I'm not sure I'm able to do that. Kathy writes, the Migratory Bird Act treaty makes it illegal. Sorry, they will fledge in about 3 weeks. Wow, it's illegal to move the birds. Interesting. I'll catch my whiff. Likes brown noise. It's low frequency and relaxing, unlike white noise. I also like green noise. Interesting. Sandy writes, code brown in nursing means something very different from brown noise. Huh. Vanity used to use brown noise for studying. I found it helpful for focus. Rita writes, eggs hatch in less than 2 weeks. Nestlings fledge quickly. The further along in development the birds are, the more they will tolerate a brief disturbance. Catch my whiff. If I'm having trouble sleeping, I think about something task-based and go through the steps of the task to focus my mind on one thing. It's been pretty good for me. That's an interesting idea. Yeah, I think you could focus on certain things, but you can't focus on the things that are bugging you, that are causing you anxiety, right? Because then you never get to sleep. The birds are disturbed on a hot day. Without the adults sheltering the eggs, they won't last more than a few minutes before they bake. Oh, that's sad. Lagotic, the only memory I have of high school is how easily I fell asleep in class. Hello, Questella. Welcome. Don't worry. You can always read it later. Listen to it later. Fold the tissue over your eyes under the mask to avoid eye infections. That's quite interesting. Okay, now we broke 100 in people. I feel okay. As long as we're over 100, I feel good. Yes, the synthetic cell is right there at the University of Minnesota. Yes, it's very cool. Here's the link for the spud cell information. Kathleen, been working night shift for several decades. I've discovered that sleeping during the day is not quality sleep. Well, I don't know if you can get in a dark room and get a good 6 hours. It wouldn't be good, no, even without disturbing. I mean, you would know. You've done it. Okay. Yes, Minnesota Gophers. Yep. Off-the-shelf cell components. Like I made poliovirus with off-the-shelf chemicals. Yeah, the spud is cool and scary. Some people are worried about it. Yeah. Here's the New York Times article. Hello, Rona. Oh, by the way, that reminds me. We're going to do a Gowanus walk this month. It's going to be on July, 24th. July 24th, 6 p.m. And I have a link that you can use to sign up. I think that Rona would like to come if she's available. Let's see if I can share this with you. 1 second. Yep. Here we go. All right, I'm going to try and paste it into the chat. Hopefully that works. Try it out. Maybe Les can repurpose it. It's a long URL. But anyway, you can sign up for the Gowanus Walk. We have a couple of people interested already. We'll start at 6 p.m. and we're going to just walk the length of the canal and chat about it. The Minnesota State Fair is already trying to procure some spud cells to try and sell on the stick. The MAGA stupid will then claim it was invented in a Chinese lab and spread by bio professors. That's right. Have you seen the paper that came out yesterday about adaptive immunity against HIV research? It sounds funny the way you wrote it, but no, I haven't seen it. What is it telling us? Hello, Rayan from Algeria. Welcome. Bohan is in Richmond where it's 90 degrees. And Visto writes, as long as pro-viral infection is one of the two possible political identities, the USA will have a third world health status. Okay, I want to do a mini lecture right now. I have two, but I don't know if I'll get to both of them. Let's see what we can do here. All right, where's my presentation? Here we go. This is very interesting, folks. You're going to want to watch. Cervical cancer mortality trends. This is a paper in The Lancet, June 2026, looking at cervical cancer mortality in England. So basically, we know that HPV vaccination cuts cervical cancer incidence, but there's not a lot of data on mortality, how it does to prevent death. And so England launched a school-based HPV vaccination program in September 2008 for girls aged 12 to 13, with catch-up campaigns for girls and boys in subsequent years. And we know that it had an effect on the incidence of infection. Coverage of 80 to 90% before COVID drove cervical cancer incidence down by 87%, especially in those vaccinated before 16 years of age. That's cancer. But now we didn't have any study empirically assessing the effect of vaccination on cervical cancer mortality using national level data. So the goal of this study is to quantify the reduction in cervical cancer deaths in young women in England following HPV vaccination. All right. And so what they do is they look at national cervical cancer mortality data for England from 2001 to 2024 in different databases. The population is women aged 20 to 24, 25 to 29, and 30 to 34 years, tracked across 5-year calendar periods from 2000 to 2024. They use as a statistical model Poisson regression modeling, and the outputs are relative risk reduction in vaccinated women and the counterfactual number of deaths prevented by the intervention. Okay, so what is this counterfactual? What this is refers to what would have happened to cervical cancer mortality if the vaccination program had never existed. So it's the hypothetical baseline against which the actual observed deaths are compared. And so for each age group and calendar year, the authors modeled the mortality rate in unvaccinated women as a simple trend over time. They used that fitted trend to project what the mortality rate would have been in each year and age group had no one been vaccinated, and this projected rate is the counterfactual rate. They multiplied those rates by the actual population sizes to get a number of expected deaths. And so the difference between this counterfactual total and the number of deaths that actually occurred is their estimates of death prevented by vaccination. And that's the 199.6 deaths prevented. Okay, so this is a standard device in observational epidemiology. You can't rerun history without the vaccine, so you build a statistical model of the no vaccine world from pre-vaccination trends and extrapolate it forward, and then you compare it to what is actually observed. Now, the validity of this estimate hinges on how well the extrapolated trend actually represents what unvaccinated mortality would have done, and which is why the authors flag assumptions like no herd protection as a limitation, since violating that assumption could bias the counterfactual. So here is the output. Cervical cancer mortality rates fall sharply as the coverage rises. So here we have deaths per 100,000 women years on the y-axis. On the x-axis, we have the 5 different 5-year periods. And the top line is women 30 to 34 years of age. And you can see a drop in deaths. 25 to 29, a drop in death as the vaccination program begins. And then the best is the 20 to 24 years, where we had 0 cervical cancer deaths in women aged 20 to 24 years in England for this period after HPV vaccination. And so the mortality reductions are 80% for the ages 20 to 24 and 69% for ages 25 to 29. It's really a remarkable outcome, right? So the estimated relative risk reduction by age group, 20 to 24 years, 100% risk reduction. No deaths at all in this age group. And the coverage is 88 to 90% at age 12 to 13. 12 to 25 to 29 years, also 100% consistent, strong dose response with coverage over time. And then the 30 to 34 years, 63%, because a smaller fraction of them were vaccinated. They were mostly vaccinated later, like ages 15 to 18. So the overall impact at the end of 2024, we prevented 200 cancer deaths in England, cervical cancer deaths, by using HPV vaccine. So you have a clear dose response signal, which is cool. The mortality rates are flat until vaccine coverage becomes substantial in each age group, then it falls. The size and timing of the decline tracks the proportion of women vaccinated. The declines begin about 5 years later in each successive 5-year age group, which is consistent with the vaccine's rollout schedule. And confounders, screening changes, STI trends, treatment shifts are unlikely to explain this pattern. They wouldn't produce this staggered cohort-specific timing that we see. So what are the interpretations? So it's the first national level evidence directly linking vaccination to reduce cervical cancer mortality. It's consistent with randomized clinical trial evidence that vaccination prevents high-grade cancers. There's a strong dose-response relationship between coverage and mortality decline. The staggered timing across age group matches the vaccine rollout. It's not a generic screening treatment effect. And modest, stable sexually transmitted infection trends in England argue against a sexual behavior explanation. There are some limitations. These are observational data. They're not individual vaccination status. The mortality is only available in 5-year bands. It limits the precision. The model assumes zero herd protection in unvaccinated women, so it likely understates the true vaccine effectiveness. In the 30 to 34 age group, it's too early for conclusive evidence. And England's program uses the bivalent vaccine, the HPV 16 and 18 only, so the results may not generalize directly to broader spectrum vaccines. So basically, the bottom line here, high coverage HPV vaccination in adolescents is associated with near total elimination of cervical cancer deaths in young women. This supports the WHO goal of eliminating cervical cancer as a public health problem and underscores the urgency of sustaining high HPV vaccine uptake among adolescents, especially aged 12 to 15, among growing vaccine hesitancy. So it's really important to get kids at that age. It's the best outcome, right? 100%. It might work later as well. And certainly if you didn't get it earlier, you should get it later. But this is really the time to target it. And it's tough to do, as the paper authors point out, because vaccine hesitancy is rising. Okay. Dimitri wants to know why they report only mortality with measles but never morbidity. Well, they do. You can find those numbers. You can find, for example, encephalitis, ear deafness, blindness. You can find pneumonias and so forth. They're reported, yeah. Catch my whiff. You know what's nice about this chat? It's a science channel, so zero chance of a MAGA nut. Well, sometimes we have anti-vaxxers here, but they don't have any points. They have no data. So it doesn't fly. Verbum is in Uruguay, where everybody I know has or has had a respiratory infection. Since my first day, I've been eating garlic every day. Is there any scientific link? No, it's never been shown that there is any link between eating garlic and not having a respiratory infection. Now, you may eat garlic and have had no respiratory infections, but that doesn't mean that it is causative. It's just random. You have to do a properly powered trial, which means enough people to be able to prove that. And it's never been shown. I'm not sure it's even been done. Let's see if there's ever been a trial, a clinical trial. I don't know what you would do. Give people garlic? So, clinical trials show that garlic supplements may help prevent and shorten upper respiratory infections. It may boost your immune system. Okay. So there is a paper here. So this is actually a meta-analysis. Antiviral potential of garlic and its organosulfur compounds, a systematic update of preclinical and clinical data. So let's see. The preclinical data demonstrated that garlic have potential antiviral activity. Okay, so that's in vitro. Clinical studies further demonstrated a prophylactic effect of garlic in the prevention of widespread viral infections in humans. This review highlights that garlic possesses significant antiviral activity and can be used prophylactically. All right, so I'm sorry, I'm wrong. There is some evidence that garlic can prevent respiratory infections. But I'm telling you, I'm not smelling like garlic. I'm sorry. I'm not doing it. But anyway, thank you for bringing that up. Do you think the synthetic cell paper raises more concerns about the possibility of the creation of mirror life? Many people are worried about this, yes. It's a good question. I think we need to discuss it, right? And see what... I mean, these cells don't do well. They don't grow more than so many divisions, right? And then they die. But you can fix that a lot. Eventually, you're going to be able to fix that. So, I think we need to talk about it because, yeah, it's an interesting concern. I know people who are concerned about it, yeah. But it's very cool, though. You got to admit. I know that doesn't mitigate the concerns. Knowing what you know about AAV, do you think it's a good viral vector compared to others? The problems in purifying it and lack of redosing really make it a nasty virus. Well, I think it's good for long-term expression. You don't want that in every case, right? You certainly don't want it in vaccines. So for like blindness, where you need to produce a protein long-term, it's a very good, and it's only a one-dose thing for blindness. So there are applications that require only one dose. And so I think for that, it's really good. But now for other things, there are other vectors that are better than AAV, especially for large inserts, for example. Intisarc works in cell and gene therapy, and since I read a lot of those papers, I really miss working in virology and vaccines, so I listen to TWIV in my commute. I'm glad. It's good. I'm glad you like it. Linda is reading Dr. Offit's The Cutter Incident. It's very interesting, yes. So Tom says there's maybe some archaeal RNA virus. Here is a 2019 review, so you might want to check that out. So thank you, Les, for making a short link to the Gowanus Walk. If you want to come, sign up. It's just so that we roughly know how many people are going to be there. I think there will be less than 10, but you should sign up if you want to go. I read there's also a statistical sign of decline in prostate cancer in men who are vaccinated against HPV. Well, I don't know about that, but it would be interesting that I'm not aware that the HPV is involved in that. So, yes, HPV, another magnificent vaccine, absolutely. It would be good to know the decline in V-warts and HPV infection. Yes, but these vaccines are not going to affect the warts. I don't think there's any cross protection, which is why you want to have all the high risk types in, right? Because if you just get 16, it's not going to protect against the others. Catherine's in Orlando. 82F, welcome. Vampires would be the control group, right? Dennis star Chris Everett has ovarian cancer. They found HPV as well. I think it's just there also, right? Let's see. The medical consensus, and there is an article, there's no clear or established causal link between HPV and ovarian cancer. So I think she probably has it. She had HPV, and she also happens to have ovarian cancer, unfortunately. And there is some suggestion, yes, that HPV infection may be associated with a higher risk of prostate cancer, but it's not established. That one is not as established as cervical cancer for sure. Interesting. If you eat enough garlic, everyone will stay far enough away from you to prevent them passing on a respiratory infection. That's right. Anyway. Catherine, another interesting book to read is Every Patient Has a Diagnosis. All right, I do have one more mini lecture. This one is pretty cool, so let me do this, and then we will wrap up with a poem. This is a Lancet infectious disease article, size of the 2026 Ebola outbreak and risk of cross-border spillover from Bundibugyo virus in Ituri province, DR Congo. So here's the outbreak. The estimated index is April 1st, although there's some idea that it may have been earlier. WHO is not notified until May 15th when it's confirmed to be Bundibugyo. May 17th to 18th, emergencies are declared, public health emergency of international concern. May 24th, 906 cases. June 8th is the calibration anchor for this study. 598 laboratory confirmed cases. And the latest count is on June 22nd, 1,048 confirmed with 267 deaths in DRC. Okay, so the methods here, they use this SEIRD model, susceptible, exposed, infected, recovered, and deceased, to look at a 350,000 person catchment in 7 health zones. And they're basically going to use the number of cases to predict what could happen. And they have 3 scenarios with a low, intermediate, and high R0. In other words, how transmissible the virus is. And then they have a model for spillover into other countries, importation into Uganda, South Sudan, Rwanda, and Burundi developed, driven by infectious prevalence, cross-border mobility, point of entry sensitivity, and travel while infectious weeks over 12 weeks. Travel while infectious rates over 12 weeks. So a little bit on this SEIRD model. It's a model used in infectious disease epi. It's an extension of the classic SIR model, and the letters stand for the 5 compartments or states that a person in the population can be in. You can be susceptible, hasn't been infected yet. You can be exposed. You're infected but not infectious. You're infectious and you can transmit. You've recovered. You survive. You're no longer infectious, or you die. And people move through these compartments, roughly S, E, I, and then either R or D. The E distinguishes SEIRD from the simpler SIR model. It's the incubation period, which matters a lot for Ebola since there's a real delay between infection and becoming contagious. So in this paper, the model they use is a stochastic discrete time version, meaning the transitions between the compartments happen in daily time steps rather than in smooth equations, and that's what lets them generate a spread of possible outcomes rather than a single curve. They fix the latent period at 9.7 days, the infectious period at 5 days. Based on the literature, the case fatality ratio then determines the split between R and D. The transmission is governed by the R0, how many people each infectious person infects on average. And the model assumes homogeneous mixing in a fixed population, i.e. everyone is equally likely to contact everyone else, which of course is a simplification and a limitation since real transmission is clustered by health zone, household, and healthcare settings. And there's no vaccinated compartment here, which you could add to the SCIRD model. All right, so in this paper they ran an ensemble of many stochastic replicates under these three R0 scenarios, low, central, high, and kept only the replicates whose case count matched the real June 8th confirmed case count within 30%. And that's how they generate the projections. So what do they find? So this is the central scenario projection, the number of cases with the R0 around 1.7. And this is giving you, this is based on 990 cumulative confirmed cases by June 24th. And so this is the prediction down to September, 8,000 cases with 1,440 deaths. And that is if the transmission is maintained. So the three transmissibility scenarios, the low, we're going to have by September 3,600 cases. The central, we're going to have, as I just pointed out, 8,000 cases. And the high is really here for the upper limit. This is not likely to happen, but by September it would predict that an R0 of 2, 66,000 cases with 10,000 deaths, and that would really be the worst case scenario. The cross-border spillover risk is interesting. Of course, it started in the DRC, and so the spillover risk to Uganda is very high because it's already gone there. It's high also to South Sudan, 69%, and less relevant in Rwanda and Burundi. So South Sudan has a porous border with DRC, and Rwanda has no direct border, and neither does Burundi. So basically, the spillover from country to country is no longer hypothetical. We have 1,000 cases in DRC, Congo. We have 267 confirmed deaths. We have 20 in Uganda and 2 or 3 deaths in Uganda. So these are changing all the time, and we're looking to see what's happening in South Sudan. So what this means is that, well, first of all, control measures within DRC are the primary determinant of regional spillover risk because we have nothing else. Uganda does rapid detection, has district task forces and active contact tracing, and it can do a good job. South Sudan needs urgent reinforcement of infection protection, control, and rapid response and surveillance. They don't have that yet. Rwanda's earlier containment of an imported Marburg disease case offers a relevant preparedness model. Of course, there are limitations here, and the big one is homogeneous mixing oversimplifies the real spatial heterogeneity, and the numbers are probably much lower. And the model is anchored on a single data point, right? 598 on June 8th. And this is a comparison with previous outbreaks. So 2014-16 West African outbreak, that was Zaire Ebola virus, 28,600 cases and 11,325 deaths. And so the current numbers are 1,000 in DRC, 20 in Uganda, 267 plus 2 or 3 deaths. This is our central scenario prediction of 8,200 cases and 1,400 deaths in this current outbreak. There was a 2007 Uganda Bundibugyo outbreak, 131 cases and 37 deaths, and a 2012 outbreak in DRC with 62 cases and 29 deaths. So this will be the biggest one, for sure, of Bundibugyo. So the outbreak is now tracking the central scenario. In other words, it looks like the central scenario. Regional spillover is established. It's not hypothetical. And the gains from intensified control remain fragile. So an update on the Bundibugyo. It's just going to get worse for a long time, I'm sorry to say. All right, let's see what we have back for a few more comments here. Uruguay, AAV. Let's see. There's the link, the Gowanus Walk. Okay, Chris Everett has genetic predisposition to ovarian and breast cancer. She previously had a total hysterectomy. The cancer she has now is a recurrence. Yes. There's a lot of RNA-seq evidence in the transcriptome backing HPV having a role in lung cancers, not just 16 and 18. Yes, that's quite interesting. So, get vaccinated. Right? With large-scale HPV vaccine for boys just 12 years past, it could be more than 20 years before the true rate of prostate cancer is known well in that cohort. CMV is being tied to prostate cancer. So Visto points out, reducing prostate cancer from 2 to 0 in young men may be statistical noise, whereas low cancer numbers when the men reach 60, well, that would be a strong signal. Thank you, 8440K, for your support of science communication. Thank you for regularly holding the live sessions, providing insights that are supported by scientific observations and estimations. I thank you for your support. Thank you for your kind comments. I try and do that all the time here. That's what we want to do. This is a science-based discussion. Someone asks me, does garlic work? And I don't think so. But let me look, because I know how to look in the literature quickly. And turns out that it does work. But I don't, so no one, you can use it on your own, because obviously garlic is garlic, but does anyone sell garlic for that specific purpose? It's not a prescription drug, right? Allicin is the target compound in garlic and onion species that contributes health benefits. So that's interesting, if you can narrow it to a compound and use that instead. How does the Lancet correspond to John Dye remarks? By the way, first-class interview, serving our country and the world. John Dye is a very interesting fellow. I think these are in line with his projections. Maybe his were a little higher. The central projection in this case, right, the middle R0, 8,000 cases in September, he was predicting maybe 20,000. So I would go by this, because this is a very carefully done prediction, right? Anyway, it's tough for the region, right? But they have other issues too. I have to tell you that if you ask them, as John Dye said, this is not their major concern, Ebola. They have other concerns. All right, folks, time for a poem. I subscribe to Poem of the Day. I get an email. And this one came in this week. This is a Polish poet, Czesław Miłosz, probably saying it wrong. Czesław Miłosz. He, one of the most respected figures in 20th century Polish literature, and he was awarded the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1980. Gosh, I learn a lot on just reading a poem. It's called Late Ripeness. So this resonates with me, okay? Late ripeness. Not soon, as late as the approach of my 90th year, I felt a door opening in me, and I entered the clarity of early morning. One after another, my former lives were departing, like ships, together with their sorrow. And the countries, cities, gardens, the bays of seas assigned to my brush came closer, ready now to be described better than they were before. I was not separated from people. Grief and pity joined us. We forget, I kept saying, that we are all children of the King. For where we come from, there is no division into yes and no, into is, was, and will be. We were miserable. We used no more than 100th part of the gift we received for our long journey. Moments from yesterday and from centuries ago, a sword blow, the painting of eyelashes before a mirror of polished metal, a lethal musket shot, a caravel staving its hull against a reef, they dwell in us, waiting for a fulfillment. I knew always that I would be a worker in the vineyard, as are all men and women living at the same time, whether they are aware of it or not. It's Late Ripeness by Czeslaw Milosz. Look at this. Not soon, as late as the approach of my 90th year, I felt a door opening in me and I entered the clarity of early morning. The clarity of early morning. It's so evocative, right? You wake up and just in that moment, everything is clear before life pours in. But I think this is very interesting. I hope you like it too. Let's see what other comments we have here before we leave. Will always feels more relaxed after listening to fact-based health data. Perhaps I should sleep after your episodes. No, it's morning there. You can't. I know, because you're always saying it's morning in Changsha. By the way, I'm trying to arrange a visit to China next year. So if I do, maybe I'll be close enough that we can meet up. Mark, you're welcome. Thanks to everybody and the moderators as well. Garlic is a major ingredient to Changsha cuisine. Well, that's probably helping you. You know, I don't really like garlic in food very much. Steve in Kauai, convinced my doctor for HPV regimen, 2 down, 6 months for final. Thank you for being able to bring him data. He didn't like the study being meta. Yeah, a lot of people don't like meta-analysis, and that's a reasonable objection. But within it, there are papers that show the major points, and I think they're still compelling. That poem blew my hair back. I really like it. And Les found it. Yes, he found it. Late ripeness. Well, I hope I have all of you here with me at 90. I would really like that. Why? I just like spending time with you all, and I'd like to be around a lot of time. Wonderful poem, inspirational, good thinking and reflection. Good one, Vincent. Questella loves it. So does Sandra. And Robert thinks about the things I have to get at Walmart when I wake up. That's not what you're supposed to think about. You're supposed to think about the clarity that you see. You feel the door opening as you enter the clarity of morning. I'm still waiting for the clarity of morning. Mr. Doreen, thank you for coming. And Will, thank you as well. I'm glad you like it. I don't know if you can hear it as I'm reading. I tried to read it slowly, but maybe you should find it. You can find it online at that link. Steve is 76. I'm not 76. I'm 73. But good for you. As Rich would say, good on you. Yesterday was Rich Condit's birthday. I think he was 76 or 77 or 78, something like that. Yeah, look at this. We have some people around my age here. All right, folks, let me thank our lovely moderators. We had Les Fabi, we had Tom Steinberg, we had Frank, we had Vanity Nutrition. Vanity, good riddance, okay? Have a good trip out there. Good luck in the next part of your life. Stay in touch, please. We love you for what you did for us here, and hopefully you can join us in the future. Thanks, everyone else, for joining tonight. As always, great questions, great discussions, great camaraderie. this is my enlightenment, the room where other people are smarter than me. So we will be back next week. Let's see, that's the 8th of July. You know, before you know it, the summer's going to be over. It's too bad. 8th of July, 8 o'clock BM. Not BM. Sorry. 8 o'clock PM Eastern Time for office hours. So Steve got HPV at 76, MN is 62, youngster, Rita is 70, but my sense of humor is adolescence. This is your first stream. Well, great. I'm glad you liked it. By the way, until next week, I want you folks to be safe. Okay? Take care and curious. Bye-bye.